Hi guys, back again. I had some emails, some people wanted me to go over some things, so I'm going to go over some things from personal experience, and I'm going to go over some things from some research I've conducted. People said, is it Bigfoot or is it Dogman? Well, from what I've witnessed, it has a blue eye reflection. I have found out that large primates do not have a tapetum lucidum and do not have an eye shine. So if Bigfoot is related to primates like everybody says he is, then why does he have an eye shine that everybody says they sees red? To me, if he's part, ape or large primate, he shouldn't have a large eye shine, and he shouldn't be nocturnal. He should be more active during the day like larger primates. There was a professional baseball player here in Oklahoma, Jordy Mercer. He caught some good photos on his game cam, and I'll go ahead and post those so you can see them right now. But I have not seen any red shine, really. Me and Pecos, I don't know if Pecos has or not. Mostly what I've seen is the blue eye shine. Blue eye shine is common in canines. Which I guess, if it were the Dogman, would possibly be him. One thing that throws me off, though, was the blue eye shine when seen. It was about 7 foot tall and left a large handprint on Pecos' truck. So what was it? I don't know. It was in the last video what we talked about. So if you missed that video, go check it out. I did do some research, and people describe the Dogman as approximately 7 foot tall. He's bipedal, human-like torso. He has a scream, can mimic a baby crying, and can also mimic an infant's sounds. That I thought was pretty crazy. And here's the kicker: blue eye shine. The Dogman was first reported in Michigan. The Dogman occurred in 1887 and was reported by lumberjacks that reported a dog-like creature with a human body and a dog-like head. This is a pic that they allegedly took that day. In 1937, in Paris, Michigan, Robert Fortney was attacked by 5 wild dogs. He reported in his report that one of the dogs stood bipedal on 2 legs, seemed to be the leader of the pack. That sounds kind of crazy to me. Definitely scary. I'd wondered for a time if it were more interested in kids, mostly women. The reason I've wondered that is because one of the families I've dealt with had a lot of weird things happen. It was mostly women in the house and a mother. There was 6 girls, 2 boys. It always came at dark. It always messed with the kids, scratching on the house and mimicking noises. They said there were more than one, but described one as a cross between a bear and a dog head on a human-like body. What does that sound like? I know that most of you have heard probably Bigfoot sounds off the internet or in person. Here is what is believed to be a Dogman. Does it sound any different to you than what you have heard? Or are you mistaken Bigfoot for Dogman or Dogman for Bigfoot? So take a look at this clip, listen to it, let me know, is this what you've heard or not? Let me know down in the comments. It helps everybody, I guess, if we do this. It's kind of a learning deal.
It's crazy.
Not a bear.
That's no dog.
It's a bear.
I think he's a bear. I don't think so. They don't call that much.
one evening, late in the evening, it was dusky dark. The mother had ordered the kids into the house before dark. This was a common practice to prepare for the night. As they said, the spooks would arrive, as they called them, and the doors were locked, and the knife was used through the door facing to help secure the door. This was common every night. The mother was hot that night and had opened the door for some cooler air. She had left the screen door locked, and she kept a .32 automatic underneath her lap, underneath the cushion, and a butcher's knife beside her on the couch. That night the creature stepped onto the sidewalk, which was under the shade trees that blocked the yard light from the clear view. It reached its long fingers out and made the motion with its fingers with what appeared to be long claws, and it mentioned her name and told her to come here while motioning her. They said that you could tell what it was saying, but it did not sound human, but they could make out that it was saying her name. They said that they got up and they secured the door, and that night the haunting kept going as usual. The house was beat on, scratched on. They heard noises outside. It was climbing up into the trees that were adjacent to the house, the shade trees that they had, and would climb from the trees onto the roof of the house so they could hear it walking onto the roof. So that's pretty crazy. Anyways, it kind of goes back to, do I think it's dangerous to kids? Because there was a story that was always told to me by my granny and the elders of the community. A lot of them have passed away now. They said there was a mentally ill kid that lived up in Childers, Oklahoma, and he would leave the house and go play down in the river bottoms. They said that he had came back and had mentioned he had found a friend. He would leave, and they thought at first it was an imaginary friend, and he would stay gone, and then he started staying on longer and longer and longer. And finally they asked him, they said, "Who is your friend?" And he said, he didn't talk a lot. He called it the monster that did not speak. The son got to where he was gone days at a time. The mother would worry and put dinner plates out for him every night. They would be gone by morning. They would be eaten. She assumed it was him. I guess it could have been any kind of animal could have done it. But she assumed it was him coming back to eat at night. The Native Americans said, depending on the tribe, now this is of the Bigfoot, not the dog man, but they said depending on the tribe of Bigfoot, there were benevolent and malevolent ones. The Sasquatch would come up, communicate with them with sign language. They would talk to them. They weren't mean at all. Then there was the other tribe. They were curious, more curious toward their children. The women, they would steal their tools. They would actually come into camp, steal food at night. But what really got bad is they ended up taking the kids and developed a taste for human flesh. Presumably the kids. And that goes back to, do you believe it's Dogman or do you believe it's Bigfoot? Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, they say Bigfoot liked the kids. I know from personal experience that when we were fishing, our kids were out there playing, and they range from, the oldest being around 12. The two youngest ones are 8 and like 6, and they're loud. They run, they play, and it did seem like the louder they were at night, the worse it would get. I thought it might have been other people, fishermen out there messing with us, trying to scare us. A stick flew into camp one night, hit my son in the back of the head. It left mud in the back of his head. I actually pulled my gun that night because, they're going to start hurting people, throwing things, and, it's getting serious. That is our camp. But the children, I want to go more into why I think it's after children, because I've had some experiences. I have eyewitnessed some things that has happened, and I don't think children are safe around it. I know that when our kids were playing, when we were fishing, it seemed like it would throw the sticks more over by the kids. It would be more over in the area by the kids. That's where we would hear the noises, what we wouldn't know what it would be. The hoops, the hollering, there would be whistling. We did hear a baby cry. I witnessed that with my mom, my son, and then my other sister and her husband. Her husband was a very big skeptic. He comes from the city. he didn't believe in it at all. He was a Boy Scout. He's been in the woods, and we went down there, and he is a big believer now. I don't know if we can get him to come on and talk, but he walked over to the truck one night, and I had walked over there with him, and we was getting some bait, and we kept our drinks in the ice chest in the back of the truck. It's a large ice chest. There's a lot of us that go, so we just leave it in the back of the truck, the tailgate down, because where we fish, our vehicle's not that far away. And we had walked over there, and then my mom had actually come walking up on the left side of me. Now, we're on the other side of the truck. Sorry about that, guys. My video had ended on me, so I'm having to piece this together. Anyways, we'd walked over to the truck. There's a heavily wooded area on the other side of the truck, and behind us, of course, is the lake. While we're standing there, there's a tree there, and this tree's tall. I would say the fort starts probably about 7 foot tall. My mom looks at me, and she's quiet, and she, my brother-in-law standing to the right of me, and my sister, she's over by the door, and my mom says, "Hey, Mike, don't do anything, but look over there between the fork of the tree." So I look, and we got the fire behind us and the lanterns, and it's dark, and you got the shadows, and I can see something between the tree that's moving. And first I'm thinking maybe it's a possum. Something's crawled, down the tree or up the tree. And as I got to looking, it was a face. And I don't know, somebody, I'm not going to sit here and say what it was, but maybe somebody came down with a mask on. But this thing, to me, it looked green skin, like it had yellow eyes. It did not appear to be a mask because it had facial movement. The eyes moved, the mouth, everything was real. And there was this stinking smell that everybody talks about. And my brother-in-law, that's when he became a believer. Because this thing was standing however far across, from us, 8-10 foot, 7 foot tall tree. So we got our pop, went back to the fire, because that's where the rifle was at. It was over by our camp. And we walked over, and I grabbed my rifle, and we sat there, and it walked back off, which would have been to the, let me get my directions right, it would have been to the east, back off into the woods. It whistled, and that's the night that it started crying like a baby. We thought it was a baby. We packed our stuff, and we left that night. I don't know what it was. And I played it over and over in my head. I don't know if, somebody came down to scare us. If it did, it wasn't a smart thing to do down here, because there's a lot of hillbillies and we all carry guns. But it happened on more than one night, and my kids can attest to it. My brother-in-law that was not a believer, that is a believer, if I could get him to talk, maybe we can get him on. Pecos has some amazing stuff, guys. This guy has hunted this thing for a long time. He has a lot of knowledge. Actually, I'm working on some cloaking ideas with him. But I'm going to end this video on that, and I'll give you one more thing. I think that probably y'all like to hear from a very honest person that I know to be very honest. She seen this thing whenever she was 15, 16 years old. She's in her 60s now. She described it to me as having a bear-like head, kind of mixed with a dog's head, on a human body. She said it was sitting underneath their porch looking at her over the steps when she was a kid. And she ran into the house. So, what is it? I don't know. Grandma always said Bigfoot. That's what she always told us. My uncle, he had seen actually what it was with one other person. My uncle will not to this day tell me what he's seen. He said, we don't want to know. I actually put word out the other day to try to get a hold of the other gentleman to find out what he's seen. Back in the day in high school, they said, he was a big guy. He wasn't afraid of anything. He came down. He was going to catch it. He ran outside. When it was there, he met it at the back of the house. They said he walked in the house as white as a sheet, fell on the couch, and said, you guys don't want to know what I just seen. And he would never tell anybody. And we've tried to get him, and he won't talk about it. But I want to see if I can get him to at least give us a description of what he's seen, because these people are getting older, and I'm curious also to what was at my grandma's, because I know they've seen things. I've seen things down there. The next video, guys, I'm going to go into why I think it's not safe for your kids to be around it. I have some stuff that's it kind of bothered me that's happened, and I'm just because people are asking me, and Pecos thinks I should put it out there. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you all what's happened. But it's gonna be well worth hearing. I appreciate you guys watching. Keep hunting, but be safe. God bless. Be careful.